Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at the best rookie insert designs for 1994. I find it interesting that on this list there's one sport that's missing, and it's not hockey, it's actually baseball. I really did want to put the baseball Wave of the Future cards on the list, but I couldn't. I couldn't because they were a little bit too adventurous with colors, and they were not at all cohesive with the design of the cards. And so while I like them in terms of a very basic level, I don't actually like them enough to put them on the list. So baseball doesn't show up here at all, and well, football takes up a very large percentage of the list, which segues me straight into the honorable mentions, because the first two of the three honorable mentions are both football. The first one for me is the playoff contenders cards, the 94 draft cards. And in this case, I really like the card at a very simple level. The raspberry foil, love that color. And then I really love the whole prismatic effect that takes up the rest of the card. The way the two come across, every time I look at it, I just go, wow, that's awesome. But it's too boxy. That harsh line between the two of them, all of that foil on one side and then everything else on the other side, the way that it comes across is a card that is slapped together. And speaking of which, the player is slapped right onto it. Leave it to playoff to figure out how to take something amazing and not at all figure out what to do with it. All they needed to do was like a jagged line or a wavy line, and the card would have been so much better. But instead, that harsh, here's this box, and just live with it, that flat line, that straight line really kills the potential for the card. But also the player doesn't fit into it. If you're going to put a player on a card, at least let him in some way work within the card, whether that's isolated directly into one of the two boxes or have the card design in some way interplay with the presence of the player. Or don't make sure that the contrast isn't that severe. I mean, they could do like a shadow or something on the card that would help the card out a lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't do any of that. So every time I look at the card, I get excited right away, and then I'm puzzled why the card is so poorly designed. That's the problem with this card. When I shift over to the other one, the other honorable mention that is a football design, which is the Collector's Edge Boss Rookie card. Here, this is a card that is well crafted. It's very well formed. And I like the way the design is, and I really like the clean approach of the acetate cards. Now, I do have to note, as I was putting together this video, I was disappointed by the fact that all of the base levels of these cards that I have are all yellowed, and I'm pretty sure that the originals are not yellowed. The doubles that I have for Collector's Edge aren't here with me. They're somewhere else, so I can't go and look at them yet. But when I wanted to show you one of the originals, but the only ones that really would have worked were the regular Boss Squad cards. Instead, I'm showing you the parallels because the parallels do look great. But when they're at their height, these cards do have a really nice look to them. But they're not an adventurous card. They're very simplified. There's no card back at all. And so the card is basically just well made, and that's about all I can say for it, which is a lot to say for it, but it's just too well made and it's not well inspired. So I got to throw it on as an honorable mention to go, well, yeah, all right, it's nice. It's not fun. Now, my third honorable mention, I shift over to basketball, specifically to the Upper Deck Rookie Standouts cards. And here, this is a card that is a more cohesive design than either of the ones that we looked at previously. It is very, very, very simple. It's got a gold foil logo. That's about all that they've got for design. They have a canted space for the image, but the image is not tilted, it's straight. And then the team color on all four corners, I really like that. But this card is all about a really good action shot, and that's what gives it an edge over the two that we've already looked at, because at least the card has a cool image, and that's engaging. I don't mind when a player is isolated on a card as long as it makes sense. But the cards don't have liveliness overall for the football cards. Here with this card, that is the one advantage, is that the player, while not as distinct, at least he's in a more engaging environment. But still, the card is too simple for me. I wish they'd done just a little bit more, and it would have made it a whole lot better. But still, it's clean, it's nice, it's, yeah, that's about all I got to say for it. And that's why those three are outside of the top 5. Now, for the top 5, I'm starting off at number 5 with the Skybox Primetime Rookies. Obviously, this is football, and this card is a card that does a great job of showcasing how Skybox did a really good job with their Primetime Rookies inserts. I think just about all of them are really great, and this is an early one that does a good job of setting up what we'd be seeing in years later. It's a very simple background of a grid of team logos with team colors for all the boxes. I mean, just a simple, basic, straightforward designer who knows what they're doing. And this really does look good. And I like the fact that the proportions are perfect for a 7x4 grid, which gives all 28 teams in 1994. That whole design does both the function of showing that this is about the draft, because all the teams are present in the draft, and it also has a really good pattern behind that is interesting, it's engaging, it's colorful, but it's not overpowering. Now, part of the reason it's not overpowering is because the whole card back is chromed, and that's where I have to draw the line, because it does diminish the intensity of the card background, which is a good thing, but you can do that by just muting the colors a little bit. I don't like it when cards are chromed because it flattens the whole card, and it's kind of like there's a film on it. It's kind of the way that I think about it. And so it always bothers me because I'd like for it to be stronger, and it's lacking that. And that's why I have it here at number 5. And then at number 4, I have only slightly better, but in complete reverse, the Pinnacle 94 draft cards. Now here, this is a card that is a very clean card, which is all about making sure that the image of the player is front and center. And that's what they most definitely succeed at with this set. That's actually the thing I like about it the most. Now, the design is overly simplified. It's the football leather print down at the bottom with some gold foil just above that, and that's it. In fact, I kind of wish that they'd done it as a straight line. The foil, the way that the jagged line of the foil is on the card seems kind of amateurish. And I think that it would help to make it more crisp. Now, what would really made this card work is if they'd put an arc. If they'd done that, this card would have been way better. But still, the design is not the point of the card. It's very clean, very simple, very straightforward, and it does look nice. But it's all about the presence of the player, the shot of the player, front and center. And I gotta say, if they had not done that weird effect with the background, I think this card would have been overall a whole lot stronger for everybody. That's probably a big part of what holds it back, but it's just about the cleanliness. That's the only reason I have it here. It's cleaner and sharper than the Skybox card, and that's for me, that affects me in the right way. So I'll say that. Now at number 3, I've got the Flair Basketball Wave of the Future cards. To me, this is one of the best Flair cards they ever made. They really knew how to do it right with this card. It's horizontal, and they have 3 shots of the player. It's kind of crowded, but it doesn't feel like they're running into each other. Instead, you feel it's almost like they're shouting out the player's name 3 times. They're really putting the emphasis in, but it works. In these cards, it works. The background doesn't have a whole lot of room for it, but the team color and the design of the swirl are perfect complements to sit behind the shots of the player. To me, it's just well crafted, and I'm always excited whenever I look at these cards. That is the effect that it gives to me, which is so wonderful. And that's why, to me, this is the first card that actually does everything that a good rookie insert design should be doing. So, big fan of it. But at number 2, I have a card that simplifies it way down, which is the Game Day Rookie Standouts cards. And they're tall boys, which is already great right out of the gate. But on top of that, the image is not just taking up a great amount of the card and is well presented, but the background, they added a little bit of interest to the background to make the card distinct as an insert. The jagged line, I'm not a fan of in terms of, I think they could have done a lot better, but I don't mind because it works. It does all the things that it's supposed to do in terms of doing a great job of highlighting the player and creating interest on the card, but it only works because it's embossed. In fact, the whole card is embossed, which gives such a great effect to it that makes it stand out as distinct and exciting. And that's where I see this card as really being great, is the fact that if it wasn't embossed, I don't think that I would put it here at number 2. But the fact that it is puts it at a whole nother level. And I know that when you're looking at an image, it doesn't read as well. But when you're actually working with the cards, it always is distinct and feels great. It feels amazing. That's kind of the way that it works. But it's not number 1 because the number 1 card for me is the 1994 Leaf Gold Rookies for hockey. And for these cards, this is a card that is exciting in all the right ways. It does a good job of showcasing the player, but he's not balanced on the card. There's a whole strip down one side which has some muted images and some stuff on it that's just kind of hinted on the side. It's there. You're aware of it, but it doesn't do anything more than give just an accent to the rest of the card, which means that this card is almost like a mini tall boy, the way the image comes across. And then they have that prismatic gold foil for the text, and it kind of comes in and out, and it makes the card feel really elegant. This to me is like a fancy kids card, a really, really fancy high-end kids card. That's what it inspires with me. Whenever I look at this card, the kid in me just goes, that is the coolest thing ever. That's the best way to describe this card, at least for me. And I think that's about all that I need to really say about it. I think it pretty well stands on its own as clear as to why I put it here as the best rookie insert design for 1994. If you think that the order is different, is wrong, definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you think that one of the cards I did not talk about belonged on this list, please let me know about that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I do urge you to do so. Check out the other videos that I do, and yeah, thank you very much for watching.